When White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt is asked a question that implies anything but the glowing positivity about the Trump administration that she desires, she lashes out. And sometimes she lashes out at the media. Sometimes she lashes out at Democrats. Sometimes she lashes out at protesters or whoever is convenient to lash out at in any particular moment. Well, CNN's Caitlin Collins asked Karoline Leavitt about the conflict between what Donald Trump says is happening in cities like Portland and what the mayors and governors say is happening and what the protesters say and what the media shows. Trump and Leavitt and the administration want you to believe that it is complete and total anarchy and destructive chaos on the streets of Portland, Oregon, Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Baltimore. You know the list. But then we see videos and we see reporting and we hear from the mayors and it's sort of like, yeah, there are problems in cities. Cities have crime. Sometimes chaos breaks out in like this little area, but it doesn't really justify sending in the military. Karoline Leavitt doesn't like it. And she goes, you're probably hearing from biased Democrats about that. Wow.
But no local officials that you can point to that have said we need the National Guard. Because I spoke to the police chief of Portland last week. He said that the president's claims just don't match up with what's happening on the ground.
I would encourage you as a reporter to go on the ground and to take a look at it for yourself, because there's been many members of the press, not press in this room, but independent journalists, some of whom we'll be inviting to the White House very soon to share their stories. Because they have been in the middle of these riots and they have witnessed the anarchy that is taking place night after night. It's on video. You should play it on your show. You have a great opportunity on prime time on CNN.
Remember that to the extent that that stuff is happening, as we covered in depth yesterday, it's happening as a result of Donald Trump's actions.
To show your audience, yeah, but you're probably talking to partisan Democrat officials who are opposed to everything this president does. You should also ask the people who live in Portland. We've actually heard from many members of the community who have said that this is complete civil disobedience. It's a mess. It's been loud. It's been troubling for neighbors in the community who are just trying to live peacefully. And these people are not there to peacefully protest. They are there to cause mayhem and havoc.
This is the propaganda equivalent of if the president does it, it's not illegal. By definition, if it sounds like it contradicts Trump, it must not be true. It must have come from partisan Democrat officials, as she says, or whoever. They will never acknowledge the reality in these cities, which is that things are mostly fine. And like any big city, there are problems to be dealt with, and they are not resolved by militarizing the streets and sending in armed vehicles and riot patrols and this sort of thing. Hilariously, Karoline Leavitt sounded indignant. She said, I read in Politico, people are acting like Trump wants to take over cities with the military. Yeah, that's exactly what he wants to do. That's what he's been saying the point of all of this is. Oh, Karoline.
If the courts allow you to ultimately send in the National Guard into Chicago and Portland, do Democrats not have reason to be concerned that there are long-term plans by this administration to keep U.S. military or the National Guard in American cities, like what we're seeing here in Washington?
Why should they be concerned about the federal government offering help to make their cities a safer place?
Because it makes them even more chaotic, Karoline?
They should be concerned about this. They should be concerned about the fact that people in their cities right now are being gunned down every single night. And the president, all he's trying to do is fix it. And there has been a complete smear campaign by the Democrats and the media.
They're being really mean.
Quite frankly. I was reading Political Playbook this morning, one of the most inside the Beltway newsletters you can find. And you guys are framing this like the president wants to take over the American cities with the military. The president wants to help these local leaders who have been completely ineffective in securing their own cities.
Yeah, well, the reason that Politico is writing that, if they are, I didn't look at the Political Playbook. The reason that they're writing that is because Trump has been openly saying that. He's been openly saying, we're going to do this in a whole bunch of cities. That's why they believe that. Now, the question of Ghislaine Maxwell did also come up. Will Trump rule out granting her clemency? Karoline Leavitt is just not weighing in. She won't even say whether such a request has been made.
I was going to you in the blue shirt and tie.
Oh, thank you,
Yes,
Caroline.
you're welcome.
The Daily Mail. Today, the Supreme Court declined to hear Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal. Will Trump rule out granting her clemency? Is that something the White House is considering?
It's not something I've heard discussed, and we don't comment on clemency requests that may or may not have been made, but I'm certainly not tracking that one at this point in time.
There you go. And Trump claims he isn't either. As you saw earlier, when he was asked about Ghislaine Maxwell, he goes, "What? Who? Oh, I haven't heard that name in a very long time." We now know that the pardon is indeed under consideration. Karoline Leavitt jumping into the fuzzy math of Donald Trump. You know how Trump likes to say we're going to reduce the price of something 300%, 1,000%, 1,500%. Karoline Leavitt is uncritically repeating the same failed arithmetic. By the way, I saw a comment from my friend Jojo from Jers, also known as Joanne Carducci. She said, this sort of math is how they came up with there are 20 million undocumented immigrants in this country. It's the same sort of math that has you saying things like 1,000% off.
Is he willing to give more, to share more on what he'd like to negotiate on the Affordable Care Act later? Is he willing to say specifically what he would like and when?
Look, the president is definitely committed to fixing and improving our healthcare system. You saw it again last week when he had one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world coming into the Oval Office and promising to lower drug prices by 200, 300, 100% in many cases for various types of drugs for American patients. That is a huge fix to a broken...
It would be interesting if the math checked out. And unfortunately, the math simply doesn't work. They should go back to, what is this? Is this, I guess it's like 7th grade math or something like that. And then finally, when all else fails, bring up our old friend, Antifa. That always works.
Today, the Supreme Court declined to hear Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal. Will Trump rule out granting her clemency? Is that something the White House is considering?
And sorry, there's overlap here with the few seconds we heard earlier.
It's not something I've heard discussed, and we don't comment on clemency requests that may or may not have been made, but I'm certainly not tracking that one at this point in time.
Caroline.
Jordan, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. So we're talking about these radical groups in Portland and Chicago. I know the president has spoken about potentially going after George Soros with RICO charges and for funding all of this violence. Has there been any update on that? And also, is the administration looking into the other nonprofits, maybe taking away their 501c3 status for funding this violence? And then I have one more question.
Sure. The financial backing of these groups, particularly Antifa, is certainly something the administration is looking into aggressively. And the federal government has never really been mobilized or tasked with doing that. So we're kind of kickstarting that into gear. The FBI is working on it alongside the White House's Homeland Security Task Force. We have our intelligence community looking into this as well. And
Antifa. That's really at the crux of what's going on here. We're not going to forget about the Epstein files, Caroline. Whenever I hear them starting to talk about Antifa, I'm reminded of the Epstein files. That's where my mind goes. And they're going to go after 95-year-old George Soros. Give me a break. These people are sick. And I hope Karoline Leavitt lives to regret it at some point. I don't know that she will. She'll probably just get an even bigger cross necklace and look the other way, but go watch tennis somewhere. But I hope that she lives to regret her participation in these atrocities. Do you ever feel like you're being watched online? It's because you are. Even in incognito mode, your internet activity can still be tracked by your internet service provider, by big tech, by data brokers, and even by the government. The solution is our sponsor, Private Internet Access, a VPN that hides your IP address so you can't be tracked online, and so you can access websites and content normally not available in your region. Private Internet Access is the only VPN that can prove in multiple ways they do not log your internet activity. Their software is open source. Anyone can see that the VPN is not logging your traffic. Multiple court cases have happened where law enforcement tried to get user activity logs from the company. The company didn't have them. You can choose from lightning fast IP addresses in all 50 US states and 91 countries. You can use private internet access on unlimited devices with just a single account. And my audience gets 83% off, which comes out to just $203 a month, plus get 4 extra months for free. Go to piavpn.com/Pakman. The link is in the description.